Happy Friday, gorgeous. This next guest is a powerhouse. You're gonna love her interview because she is so on point. She knows what she's talking about. She is a true leader who shows us that being brave and courageous and following her intuition is everything in business. And she went from $100 to her name in 2018 to 80K, 100K, 130K cash months over and over and over. And she's a true testament of what happens when you never give up on yourself. And I cannot wait for you to hear her amazing interview. Her name is Mary Morgan. Yes, you might already know her and been following her. She is awesome. And yeah, I cannot wait. Let's just dive in. Let's go. Welcome to the Powerful Female Leaders Podcast. I'm your host, Anna Patricia Bourgeois, certified business coach. I am here to help you up-level, generate consistent wealth, increase your confidence, attract dream clients, and master your mindset so that you can fully own your power and achieve next-level results in your online business and beyond. Every week, a powerful conversation will take place with amazing guests, or I'll share from my experience to help inspire you to start and scale the business of your dreams while being powerfully you. The time has come to stop playing small, stop hiding, and stop waiting. Now is the perfect time for you to passionately pursue your heart's desire as the powerful leader you were born to be. Are you ready? Let's do this. Hello, everyone, and welcome to another episode of the Powerful Female Leaders Podcast. I am here today with the one and only Mary Morgan. Hey, girl.
Hi, how are you?
I'm good. I'm so excited that you're here.
It's an honor to be on here, so I'm super excited to dive in.
Yes, let's do it. So feel free to share with us who you are, what you do, and what got you into what it is that you do.
Yeah, so I started my journey actually as a freelance graphic designer and web designer. I worked in
Mhm.
all sorts of sales and marketing positions and ranked so many different records and things. I remember one of my sales positions going from an unpaid intern to
Mm.
traveling with the buyer of the company that very next week because he was in shock of how many sales I brought in. Like I was hitting records that people who were seasoned in this space and
Mm.
there for 20 years never hit. And here I am, this little mouse that just came in, this little chicken nugget that just joined the team. I think I was like 19 maybe at the time, and they're just like, how the hell is she doing this? So,
Yeah.
since that point, I started my freelance graphic design business and web design, and I started realizing that skill set come back. People started to ask me things like, how are you closing multi-thousand-dollar brand packages when I can struggle
Mhm.
to sell a $150 logo? And that's really where I was like, this could be a business. And that's where I started to shift in. It started very informally at first. Like
Mhm.
I just did it for free with friends and family who were in similar industries and
Mhm.
started to see the result that they would get and really started to build up my portfolio of case studies just to like make sure
Mhm.
that this actually works and it's not just me that's quote unquote lucky. And then I started to actually have this business, and I would say we started probably in like 2018, 2019 officially.
Yeah, I love it. Like, I've been following you and like you're on fire. Like, I love your videos, I love your reels. Like, it's all really
Thank
like
you.
inspiring. And I guess I would like for you to share with us, like, if you had to start like all over again and like you had to get like a client tomorrow, like what are the things that we need to have in place to like
Yeah.
make it happen?
So number one, I would take out of my mind that I need a client by tomorrow. That's the
Mm.
same thing of like, you're looking to get married to the man of your dreams, but you say, I need to get married by Friday this week. You
Mm-hmm.
know what I mean? It's the same thing. So it's
Yeah.
like when we put this hustle and pressure on ourselves, it's so important to obviously have goals and have like the vision and have all that. But when we put a timeline, like if I want to be dancing in the sunset and like singing under the stars and like all of this with the man of my dreams, how the hell am I going to find this person in the next 3, 4 days? So for me, one of the biggest pieces was really releasing that timeline and just honing into you're consistently going to evolve, you're consistently going to grow. One of the biggest questions I hear is like, people who know my story going from $100 to my name to like,
Mm-hmm.
$150,000 cash months before turning 27. They're like, what's the 1 to 3 things? Like, what are the biggest lessons? And I'm like,
Mm-hmm.
there isn't 1 to 3 things. There are hundreds of things. Like,
Mm.
I can't give you that one secret sauce because there isn't a secret sauce. It's the consistent up level. It's the consistent, um, being ready for more. Like, of course, there's a couple things that stand out, but I feel like the biggest thing is like bravery and courage. Like when you see people out there who are just killing it and you're here like, oh, what do I need to do to get that? All I
Mm-hmm.
say to that is like, you need to have more bravery and courage because she's not smarter. Like I see people out here who I'm like, you are so much smarter than I am in branding and marketing and whatever. Like you are better. Like but I'll make more money because I'm more courageous, because I'm
Mm.
braver, because I don't care what someone's going to say and I'm going to go and I'm going to do it anyways. But someone
Mm.
else sits there and goes, should I do this? Should I do that? I go,
Mm.
what do I want to do? So it's the leadership. I think that would be like the
Mhm.
biggest piece to start to focus on. What do you want to do? What do you want to say? Don't get caught up with what other people are doing. What do you want to do?
Yes, I love that. So why do you think like so many women entrepreneur like get caught up in like the overthinking?
Uh, I mean, it's hard. I think we don't want to make a mistake, but that's what business is.
Mm.
It's mistakes. Like,
Yes.
how do you build a business without mistakes if to build a business you need to make mistakes? Like, I think
Mhm.
that's the biggest deal breaker for so many people. So when I see
Mhm.
leadership and I guide people on how to be better leaders in their businesses, I really
Mhm.
look at how can we have more. It's two things. One, like intuition. What do I want to do? What would feel really good? So your gut will guide you oftentimes, we just don't listen to
Mhm.
it. And the other is discernment. So it's like I might have something in my mind that's like, I feel like this launch might not go the way I plan, but
Mhm.
discernment in that I'm okay even if it doesn't. So it's really leading with those two hand in hand of the here's what I'm feeling, but either ways I'm okay. And it's like the discernment side is super important.
Yes, so good. So bravery, courage, intuition, discernment. So where does the strategy come in after all this or between this or is it all
Yeah.
mixed all together?
Yeah, it's totally mixed all together. I
Yeah.
mean, I love, what Jim Rohn says, the easier or the bigger the why, the easier the how, something
Yeah.
like that. I'm totally butchering what he says, but it's so true. It's like when you have clarity on what you're doing, why you're doing it, we often get so caught up in the how, and I feel like they just come so well hand in hand because
Mm.
two people can have the same strategy, go live on Facebook once a week. Let's just say that that was a strategy for simplicity's sake. So two people are going live, but one is in her power, one is owning it, one is so freaking brave. Who's going to have more clients? Easy peasy.
Mm.
So I do think you need both because you can't just be like, how do you showcase your power? How do you really,
Mhm.
be seen? So there is, of course, a strategy, and I'm like strategy queen. Like I can get so into all the details. So for me, like the work was actually how do I take my magic and actually turn that into a process that's repeatable for clients? Because that was probably the biggest challenge for me is some of these things came so easy, some were learned. Where I see a lot of coaches and mentors go wrong is in the actual teaching space. So I was lucky enough to be a teacher. I was an art
Mhm.
school teacher and I did that part time as I was doing a million other things. Um, Manny Jen over here, who loves doing a million
Same.
things. So, I would teach at the art school and I started to see how people learn differently. And it's not just, um, I also taught at a university, and this is one thing that a professor told me as I was assisting her in marking some students' work. She said, you can't just tell someone this looks messy, or to stay between lines, or to, you know, this looks rushed, because to me, something looks so rushed, but to this woman who drew this thing, it could have taken her like 3 weeks. But to me, that would have
Mm,
taken me 5 minutes, because
yeah.
it's just so natural. It's so effortless. So she started to say, like, what makes it look rushed? That's what you inform people on. So for me,
Mm.
that's how I started to really break down my methodology, was like, I can't just say, okay, go and be magnetic. It's like, well, what the hell does that even mean? Like, did I just get battery magnets? Like, I don't even know. Am I just like floating around? Like, what do I do? So there is a process, there is a strategy. And the way that I do this is, for each person, it's completely unique. So it's not like you can say each person start with this and then do this and then do this. It's like there's no parenting like step by step rule book, but there
Yeah.
are key areas in parenting to focus on, like connection, like this, like that. So there are big blocks that I would say those are the strategy that we get to then play within.
Yes. Ah, so good. Like you're awesome. That's amazing. Yeah. So, what would you say are the things that you are focusing on right now to elevate your leadership and go to the next level?
Yeah, I mean, it's always going to be identity work
Yeah.
for really everyone. But
Mhm.
I was speaking to someone the other day, and she said, this is why some people will win lottery tickets and sustain, can't hold that money, and sometimes they end up actually even more broke than what they were before winning the lottery. And it's like they were a match to win this ticket, but they weren't a match to this level of wealth, so they lose it. So,
Mm.
what I think is really important, and I'm really stepping into this, is I'm cleaning up a lot of the stuff right now that's in alignment, that's not in alignment. I know at the
Mm.
time this podcast is going to drop, we're going to be at the back
Mm.
end of Revival, which is a masterclass coming up. And
Yes.
that's the vibe of it. It's like we're in an era right now where it's a death, a rebirth, a revolution of how we want to do things. And how I see this is like there is a um there's something that's going on in the online space, and I'm sure some people can feel this as well,
Mhm.
where it's like there's a lot of the sameness. There's a lot of same
Mm.
branding, same copy, same language, same.
Yeah.
And then there's a lot of like unalignment, unaligned clients, unaligned team members, unaligned this. So as I've gone through this, right now I'm starting to really, like, I've cleaned that up, but now I'm starting to like really clean it up and raise the standard in how I hold in all these areas, to be more innovative, to really have more of the right people in our spaces, which, like, it's blowing me away, the people who are starting to step into our world, like out of this world,
Yes.
where, like, if I looked at myself a few years back, I'm like, it's a night and day difference. So I think what's really important is, I think everyone's actually going through this alongside me as well, is,
Yeah.
the past couple of years, so many people have focused on the vanity metrics, the vanity numbers.
Mm.
And I actually made a post, like I was doing a video series in our Facebook group around this, like the 2023 market trends. And you'll see this all around us. So I am not super familiar with the beauty industry, but I was looking at like a makeup tutorial not too long ago. I was watching this video, and at the comments section, I started to read things that were mind blowing to me, because I was talking about the exact same thing in all other industries. So cool to see this happen in so many places. So,
Mm.
and I'll give you this example because I think this is actually like huge for your audience, is like
Mhm.
in the beauty industry, what people were commenting on were, everyone started for the love of beauty, the love of getting on camera and speaking to
Mm.
practically themselves. It was like so heart centered. And then it turned into this really twisted thing of like, who has more money, who drives
Mm.
the fancier car, who does who goes to this event, who goes to that event. And if you
Mm.
look up any YouTube video that's in the beauty industry on YouTube, like, you'll actually start to see this stuff typically come up. Then I talked about, the economic forum and like trends that are happening in the economy and how people are buying. People are more strategic and intentional in
Mm.
how they're buying right now.
Mm-hmm.
In the like Instagram, TikTok just released reports not too long ago. Like TikTok to go viral, it's no longer just have a really sexy hook. Now it's watch time. Like you need to actually stay on. Same thing with
Mm.
Instagram. So what is this all telling us? It's be intentional. Stop just
Yes.
putting out really sexy headlines that don't lead anywhere. People are sick and tired of the just for show facade. I'm making lots of money, come buy my stuff. Or
Mm.
I'm losing lots of weight. Our clients are losing lots of weight. Come to our space. And it's now
Mm.
becoming more of a season of depth. And are you actually good at what you say you are?
So true. Like people want substance, right? They
Yes.
want to like actually learn something or actually connect with you on a deeper level, for sure.
Yeah, like the coaching industry is so new. If we actually look at like
Yeah.
the last couple decades, it's literally like a second in time. And when we think about that, it's like people started in the coaching industry online specifically and invested so much, got burned because a lot
Mhm.
of people started this business just to make money, just to have this laptop lifestyle. And
Mhm.
now it's like it's kind of exciting actually because I like when there's a shakeup in things. It's
Mhm.
interesting, but it also is like you're going to last if you actually do the work of like the internal work, the power work, the innovation. Like you lead through this, you're going to rise on the back end
Yes.
like a phoenix from the ashes. But if you just walk through this and you're like, oh, what's everyone doing? All right, let's go. Like, it's just not going to work. It's not the same.
Yes, you gotta stay in your own lane and
Yeah.
truly find what works for you, you know?
100%. 100%.
I love it. And in that same vein, because I asked this to all my guests and I'm so curious to know your answer. For you, what does it mean to be a powerful leader?
That's such a good question. Um, to me, it means like you can lead through it all. Like, I
Mm.
think a leader who can lead through when things are good isn't actually a leader, but I think a leader
Mm.
who leads and navigates and holds when things are horrible and still leads themselves and then everyone else, that's a strong leader. Like if I look at history, I don't just see leadership as in like in the
Mhm.
entrepreneur world and us leading, but like mass scale politicians and leaders of all sorts, people who stood for what they stand for, people who didn't.
Mhm.
Like how do people navigate and lead through these things? I feel comes down to can like when it gets tough, how do you then lead? Then you're a good
Mm.
leader.
Yes, and during those hard times, like you gotta be that leader still,
Yeah, exactly. Exactly.
I love it. I love it so much. So, what would you say, to someone who is leading through the tough times, who is showing up, who is consistent and brave and courageous, but sometimes they do have those dips? Would you say that's normal, or how would you like help them bring them back to their full powerful self?
Yeah, so you're saying is it normal to have dips?
Yeah.
Yeah, so the way I was actually just having a Voxer conversation with a client about this. The way I see dips is like the stock market. Like
Mm.
if you look on a micro level scale of like every single minute, like yes, there's so many ups or so many downs, and so many people focus on this. Like, what did I make today compared to yesterday? What did I make this month compared to last month? What did I even do this year compared to last year? That's still actually
Mm.
quite micro in a stock market. When you think about the stock market over time, it always goes up. It doesn't matter. If you
Mm.
look at like the last couple years, the next couple years, it doesn't matter. It'll keep going up. But if you're so focused on this month, this year, this minute, and you're so in it, you're
Mm.
always going to be so fixated on the dips. And what I see often happen is we can sometimes tie our worthiness and we tie all our things to
Mm.
and we start to compare to did I do this? Did someone else do this? And it's like people sometimes ask me, "Did you hit this number this month or this?" Sometimes I'm like, "I don't even know." Like, I know, but I don't know. It's like I see the numbers, but I don't. And that's how I go with everything. Like when
Mm.
people ask me about story views or email opens or whatever, it's like there can be a dip not not only just in finances, but everywhere. Like you have more opens this month and less. I don't even look at those things. I used to be so consumed with that in the very beginning of my business, but often you'll realize it actually doesn't even matter. It's like if you speak your voice, like someone was saying this the other day, he was posting reels and he's like, I've been doing this challenge and posting reels every day, blah, blah, blah. And my numbers are going lower. I'm like, okay, like, what do you want me to do with this information? He's like, is that normal? I'm like, you're always going to have people who come in and go out. Like, of course that's normal. The more you also share your truth, you're probably going to have more people that leave. But isn't that great? You're making more space for people who are so aligned.
Yes.
And like when we think about income dips, it's the same. It's like often these are like, if you look at the stock market again, what happens after a dip, it goes up. So it's the same thing. It's not like it's a flat line stock market of just like horrible. Then why would anyone invest and spend time on this? But in your business, it's the same.
Yes.
Of course, maybe in the beginning or at some points, there may be some flat lines. And I'm not saying that won't happen, but there will be this up and down, and just know that that's normal. When you zoom out, you'll realize it's always going up.
Yes. Look at the full picture. Okay.
Yeah.
You've come so far.
Exactly.
I love it. Awesome. So do you have, any last piece of wisdom that you'd like to share with us today?
I would just say, trust yourself and be braver. And, what can you do today that's braver than what you did yesterday? And like, again, for me, and you asked this great question of like, what's the work that you're doing? For me, it's always the identity work of like rising and next level identity. So for me, it's like, I see sometimes, like if we think about here's where I am, here's where I want to be, I'll do this work by tapping into the person I desire to be, and then looking back to that like future me talking to me now, telling me, giving me the wisdom of here's how to move, here's how to navigate, here are the things I want you to know, like trust yourself, all these things. But what's so important is between those two stages, there's usually something that happens, fear, guilt, shame, etc. will start to come up, and that's good. So I actually say that those are like portals of money. And I'll share this because I think this is actually so important. And I don't know if you've heard this a bit that I've shared before, but how I see this as portals is like, let's say you say something like, okay, this version of me, here are the clients she works with. And then you look at yourself now and you're like, but who am I to help these people?
Yes.
What are they going to get from me? And you have this stuff that comes up. Well, that's why you're not a match. So then I start doing the work in that space. And that is literally like, if you've ever seen a wormhole or a black hole, if you've seen Interstellar, have you seen that movie?
Yeah, I saw it.
So that's exactly like the analogy I think of is this gets you in a wormhole. Like it gets you in a time warp space that's like, all right, you're there. Once you like go through that, you do the work, you're like instantly fast tracking so much. A lot of people want to avoid the guilt, the shame, the whatever. It's like, no, walk with it, move with it. It's actually guiding you.
Yes. Oh, that was such a good share. Thank you so much.
You're welcome. You're welcome. I'm glad it was helpful.
Amazing. So I know people will want to go follow you, learn more about your services. Where can they go to do that?
Yeah, Instagram's a great place at marymorgan.biz, which I'm sure you'll put this in the show notes. TikTok, we just started at Mary Morgan Coaching. Our podcast, The Mary Morgan Show. I think you said at the time that this drops, will actually be in revival. So you can ping me at any of those locations and just say, hey, I listened to Anna's show and wanted to plug into the revival. The conversation there is around all of this, like the death and the rebirth and the remembrance of who you actually are and how you're such a big freaking deal.
Yes, queen, you are. Thank you so much, Mary, for being here today.
You're welcome. You're welcome. I'll talk to you soon.
Thank you so much for listening to this episode of the Powerful Female Leaders podcast. If you love this episode, make sure to spread the message, leave a review, and subscribe. I would forever be grateful for you. I also want to hear from you, and I want to know your feedback and your questions for future episodes. So don't be shy, say hi, and send me a message at Powerful Female Leaders Podcast on Instagram. Until then, I'll see you on the next episode.